Thank you for hanging in with us before you all get to go outside. Several years ago, I was sent on assignment by CNN to do a story on the Mexican border on the smuggling of exotic and endangered birds. And we did so with a hidden camera that we had hidden in our vests. And what we found out was heart-wrenching, that these birds that are smuggled into the United States, because there's a market here to buy them, are given wine, we were told. They get drunk, and they put the birds in the wheel wells of cars. And then, of course, most of these birds perish. It's a very, very tragic, sad story that really affected me when I did it several years ago. And our next speaker is a champion of fighting this for animals around the world. The illegal wildlife trade is estimated to be $10 billion a year, and it's resulted in drastically reduced wildlife, but his group is fighting this. It is my great pleasure to introduce a true hero, Executive Director of WildAid, Peter Knights. First, watch this.
The world is changing. From the plains of Africa to the depths of the Pacific, animals that once thrived are disappearing. Fins from up to 73 million sharks a year are being used for shark fin soup. The world's wild tiger population has decreased from 100,000 in 1900 to an estimated 3,200 today. Up to 35,000 elephants a year are killed for their ivory. Over 90% of the world's rhinos have been lost in the past 40 years. These animals, and many others, have been trapped and killed, mainly for profit. The illegal trade in wildlife is estimated to be worth between $10 and $20 billion every year, with only trafficking in arms, drugs, and people more profitable. Even with new laws and regulations, animals continue to die at an alarming pace. But WildAid is fighting back. WildAid is the only organization in the world to focus on ending the demand for these products. Our work has been focused in Asia, where demand is the highest. Old traditions, once confined to a rich few, have now become available to hundreds of millions of consumers. We persuade people not to buy products made from these endangered animals. Using the same techniques as high-end advertisers, we deliver our messages with the same precision and quality, but we do it on a shoestring budget. In 2011, our donated media in China was audited in excess of $200 million, generated from a budget of less than $1.5 million. WildAid harnesses the power and influence of celebrity endorsement. Our list of ambassadors includes over 100 celebrated names from around the world. From Oscar-winning actors, Olympic athletes, and sporting icons, to politicians, musicians, and Bollywood stars. We rally support from the world's top advertising agencies. We assemble huge production teams at less than cost, and we deliver PSAs with the quality of the world's best television ads. As a result, WildAid is the leading environmental communicator in Asia. In China, around the Beijing Olympics, 55% of people remembered our shark campaign. Of those people, 82% said they had stopped or reduced their consumption of shark fin soup. Leveraging this amount of pro bono media support, WildAid reaches up to 1 billion people every week with the message,
when the buying stops.
When the buying stops.
When the buying stops.
When the buying stops.
The killing can too.
we need public will and political will to pass laws to protect our wildlife and to make sure those laws are enforced. And we need to end the demand for these unsustainable products. To do this, we need to make conservation aspirational and exciting for people all over the world. And that's what WildAid is trying to do. Join us. Together, we can end the illegal wildlife trade. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know I'm a little bit off topic here. It's mainly about climate, and I just ask you to look at what we've done and how we've done it, whether this approach could be used for carbon consumption in the same way as endangered species consumption. Because I think we're making a lot of progress, a lot of focus on technology and a lot of focus on policy, but we have to have the public will and support to adopt that technology and to push for that policy. So shark fin has been our main area that we've been focusing on. This is our latest ad.
There are plenty of ways to impress a beautiful woman. Buying her shark fin suit just isn't one of them. When the buying stops, the killing can too.
As environmentalists, we often have to convey bad news, and we have to try and keep it out there, not just for one news cycle, but to keep it out there until we really get that change. And that means using your imagination, telling the same story in a million different ways, sometimes using things like humor. The impact of the shark fin campaign this last year has been, we've been working on it for about 10 years now, but the impact the last few years has really come home to roost. And currently, the estimates from a whole source of anecdotal sources, unfortunately there's no statistical data on this that's reliable, but all the sources point in the same direction of a 50 to 70% decline in the consumption of shark fin in China. And that's been largely because of our campaign, but also because the Chinese government banned shark fin from state banquets. The Chinese government has backed this campaign with television advertising space, and state media has reported about all the problems of shark fin. A number of states here in the United States have banned shark fin now, and we're seeing actually back in the places where these sharks are being caught that fishermen are no longer going out to catch sharks because it's not affordable anymore. The gas costs more than the profit. And so people are turning off the fishing trips, which means less pressure on the sharks, which means sharks have a chance to survive. So this is a graph showing the sad situation for the black rhino. And as you can see, down to 1993, it's really like a complete downhill disaster. What happened in 1993 is suddenly the world community started looking not at protecting the supply, which is most of what we do in conservation, but at actually addressing the demand. And in 1993, Taiwan was sanctioned by Bill Clinton, and China banned all sales of rhino horn. Look what happens after that. It starts to go back up again. It's been in the last few years we've had more problems with rhinos because a new market, a totally new market in Vietnam has evolved, and the Chinese market with new affluents has grown again. So I originally was an economist, and what my economics tells me is if you don't address the demand for these things, you will not solve the problem. It's the same for drugs. We're spending trillions on trying to stop drugs, but we're spending very little on trying to reduce the desire to consume drugs. The good news for endangered species is that they're not addictive. I would argue carbon isn't addictive, although it seems to be to some extent.
Imagine if all the people in the world could fit into one stadium.
Sadly, all the wild rhinos in the world can, with room to spare. For some species, it's almost too late. There are only 7 northern white rhino left.
Well, we can fill this stadium and many more if we can stop the illegal trade.
Ask your friends and family never to buy rhino horn.
And together, we can save our wild rhinos. When the buying stops,
The killing can too.
Had to have a bit of British humor in the end there. So you'll notice that we use exactly the same techniques as corporations use to sell you things. We use celebrity endorsement. We've been lucky enough to attract some of the world's top names behind this cause. And then we try and use slick advertising techniques. The original idea was to take New York and London advertising techniques to Asia and use this as an extended program to raise awareness and change people's attitudes.
If you're buying rhino horn, you may be paying for more than just horn. You're paying for guns, bullets, poison arrows, chainsaws, axes, and machetes to hack off the face of the rhino. And you are paying for the life of a beautiful creature. So please tell your friends and relatives, never buy products made from rhino horn. When the buying stops, the killing can too.
Have to wait for the Lion King to finish there. So the key to having these high production values and stars What that means is it means our ads don't go out at 3 o'clock in the morning. They don't go out at obscure times and to a tiny audience. They go out to a very broad mainstream audience. And because of the quality and what we've got in them, we're able to get massive distribution. So on our small budget, we're able to get the equivalent of a campaign that someone like Nike or Apple would run. This is that Jackie Chan in Vietnam. We're working in Vietnam now where the rhino horn's gone up. And this is, we're now applying our techniques to ivory. There's 33,000 elephants being killed a year. There are people like Kony's Resistance Army, Al-Shabaab being funded by this. And this is a short piece on that.
If you buy elephant ivory, you may be part of a criminal gang. A gang of ruthless killers. A gang of smugglers. And corrupt officials. And because you're paying them, that makes you the boss. When the buying stops, the killing can too.
Another of our partnerships is China. And we want to appeal to all types of people, all ages. And right now, demand reduction, what we call this process, is a kind of a new idea for conservation. And a lot of people are now taking it on. For a long time, it was a very lonely place to be, but now a lot of people are taking it on. And a lot of them are trying to study it to try and find out what's the silver bullet. What's the motivation that we can change it? And what I say to people is you don't change the individual consuming the rhino horn. You change society around them, and society changes them. So what we find is that grandchildren say to their grandfather, you can't use rhino horn because you're killing our rhinos, or you can't eat shark fin soup because that had the way they're killed. And it's really more about changing society than the actual individual consuming them. This is our latest one. This guy is a Haibo, a TV star in China. I'll have to translate afterwards for you.
当你购买象牙时，却发现买到的不仅是象牙，你还会购买吗？每年会有2万头大象因为象牙而惨遭盗猎，没有买卖就没有杀害。
All our ads obviously go out in Chinese originally. What he's saying is, if you buy ivory, if you got what you really paid for, would you still want it? So as well as that, we use social media. This is the homepage of Tencent, which is an instant messaging company in China, 600 million subscribers, I believe. And their homepage gets 160 million hits a day. And we took Yao Ming to Africa a few years ago. There's a documentary coming out on CCTV. So we use all types of media, from social media to television media. There'll be a documentary about elephants and rhinos from Yao Ming's perspective, going to China. So now we also use billboards and other conventional media. So if you go to Beijing now, you might see us if you're stuck in your car in the gridlock, on the bus stations, in the banks, in the back of a taxi. If you go to McDonald's in China, I don't recommend it, but if you do, there you go. In the airport, and I thought this was a bit of fix because this is United, and I thought they just put the billboard right where I was checking in, but actually when I got in the other side of the airport, it was all over the inside of the airport as well. This is Shanghai Airport. This is Shanghai Sharks game. This is on the Bund, the biggest billboard in the world, I believe, video billboard. And all this distribution is done for free. It's all donated media from Chinese media. Most recently, we got 36 of the top CEOs in China to sign on a pledge not to consume ivory, and this appeared in national newspapers, not to buy ivory or accept it as a gift. And Yao Ming actually proposed to the National People's Congress that China stop the sales of ivory. International trade in ivory is illegal, but sales in China are legal. And what's happening is illegal ivory is just being laundered through the legal channels right now. So the biggest single step that could happen to save the elephants is for China to ban the sales of ivory. And we believe they're looking at it right now. And we believe and hope they're going to do the right thing. Because we've always seen China not as the problem, but as a potential global leader in conservation. And the government announced $10 million to Africa recently. We think that's just the start. So the ultimate end to this campaign is when China is standing there toe-to-toe with the United States as a supporter of international conservation, not the largest consumer of endangered species. So most recently, literally last week, the 3 largest retailers of ivory have pulled it off the shelves in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has just crushed 29 tons of ivory it had in stockpiles. China's crushed 6 tons. So there's some real momentum. There's a real hope now we may get to this point to stop the legal trade, which we did before in 1989. And as soon as we did, we saw the elephant populations recover. So it's not rocket science, but we have to address the demand. If we don't address the demand, we will not win. And the project I'm actually going to work on tomorrow, Catherine Bigelow, the director of The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30, is producing a 3-minute animated piece which will be about how the ivory trade is connected to Al-Shabaab. And it will basically trace a piece of ivory in reverse back to Africa, back to the Westgate Mall. It's one of the ways they're financing. And just as we have blood diamonds, we now have, sadly, blood ivory. So the only way we're able to do this, make this possible, is from the donations of the media. This is our organizational cost graph. And we basically had a $4 million budget, and we got $165 million worth of media out of that $4 million budget. So it's key to this is leverage, and key to the leverage is the quality of the materials, and also the generosity of the Chinese media and the support of the Chinese government. So we were hearing a bit earlier about the potential in China, and I very much believe that's true for climate change. And I think China may lead the United States on climate change. I'll say it. There is no dispute about climate change, that it's man-made. There's no political procrastination. Yes, they've got a long, long way to go, but there is more political will and public support, unfortunately, than we have here. So I think our challenge is how do we create the public support in the United States for climate change and policy change so that the United States and China together can lead the world forward to solving the climate change issue. And right now, I think we are holding it back more than we're leading it, and I think that's a tragedy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Are there any questions? Are there any questions or not?